laced with cannabis.
And I'd like the record to reflect that it wasn't for me.
But what happened?
It was in my luggage. The dog went inside of the luggage.
Was a real downer.
She was going to take the dog to the vet.
But the dog was behaving normally. It was kind of just laying there.
The dog was high.
This is Judge Judy. Tahara Wright is suing her cousin, Anthony Chambers, for vet bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering after her dog ate Anthony's marijuana-laced chocolates.
Your Honor, this is case number 4 on the calendar in the matter of Wright versus Chambers. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome.
Miss Wright, this is your cousin, and according to what I read, he and his brother came to visit you as house guests over Memorial Day weekend. And you have a dog, that dog that I see over in the corner. It's a lovely
beautiful dog.
How long have you had the dog?
3 years. I rescued him. He was blind. He was getting beaten, so I rescued him. He's a very nice dog, has a disability, but so cute.
Totally blind.
Totally blind, yes.
Do you know how old he is?
Yes, he's about 3, 4 years old. When I rescued him, you know, the paperwork wasn't all together, you know, because I adopted him. He was abused. His name's Graham.
The result of abuse?
The result of abuse, yes. And now he's still getting abused to this day. He's still getting abused to this day.
Why?
Because of my cousin.
Oh, well, we'll get to that in a minute. He's not being abused in your house, I assume.
Oh, no, I treat him with a lot of love,
Okay, very good. Let's not be over-dramatic.
Okay, no dramatics.
Understood? Got it?
Yes.
Good. It is your claim that your cousin, either accidentally or on purpose, allowed your dog to get control of a controlled substance, making the dog ill. You want him to be responsible for the vet bills that you incurred as a result of taking the dog the next day to the doctor. That's your claim.
Also wages and pain and suffering, and yes, it was actually on purpose.
Yes, yeah. My pain, my suffering, you want your vet bills paid. Okay. On what date did your cousin arrive in your house?
Oh. What day was that? Let me see. Excuse me. June 3rd. Oh, when he arrived.
Of this year.
What day did he come?
The Friday.
Just don't. I mean, we're not in a playpen here. We're in a court. I'm asking you a question. The questions get harder. On what date did your cousin arrive at your house?
That Friday. June 3rd, I took the dog to the vet, so that Friday before.
What was the date?
Does he?
Calendar.
You have a calendar? You have a phone? Oh.
I do.
Okay.
On what date did you arrive?
Yes, it was Friday, May 29th.
And who did you arrive with?
I arrived with the plaintiff's brother, Terrell.
You arrived?
I arrived.
You arrived?
Yes. We took the train down.
Did you and the plaintiff's brother stay in the same room?
Yes.
And how long were you intending to stay?
We were intending to stay until that Sunday, Your Honor, and we were having such a good time. We were exploring the city. We had been locked down due to COVID for a couple of weeks, and so we decided to extend our trip that Sunday.
Until what date?
Until June the 3rd.
Now, you brought some goodies with you, some brownies and stuff that were laced with cannabis. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor, and I'd like the record to reflect that it wasn't for me.
That it wasn't for you?
Yes, I was bringing it back home to a friend.
Okay, you had purchased it where?
I purchased it in San Diego.
Now, on the 2nd of June...
Correct.
I'd like you to tell me what behavior you noticed in the dog that was different. Now, you had already been there, and I assume you knew the dog before.
Yes.
Yes. So, on the 2nd of June, you noticed that there was some different kind of behavior in the dog. I want you to describe it to me.
Well, there wasn't really any difference in the dog's behavior on June 2nd. It kind of does that all the time, though.
Well, why did the plaintiff tell you she was going to take the dog to the vet?
Well, what happened, Your Honor, was on June 2nd, we were all in the kitchen, hanging out in the kitchen. I think we were probably eating lunch, and the plaintiff's brother walked into the bedroom where my luggage was. And I had my luggage there, and on top of the luggage were clothes, but inside the luggage there was a box of chocolate-covered raisins and marijuana-infused brownie. And the plaintiff's brother walked into the room and saw that the chocolate-covered raisins had been opened, and there was no chocolate raisins in the box. So we assumed that it was the dog. But the dog was, like I said, behaving normally. It was kind of just laying there the day on June 2nd.
Well, just...
The dog was high.
Okay. I'm not speaking to you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just want to get it clear.
Not speaking to you. I'm not speaking to you yet. when a person goes in to take some candy out of luggage,
Right.
it's usually relatively neat.
Right.
When a dog goes in and rifles through, there's usually a mess.
Right.
So I assume that according to what you're telling me, the plaintiff's brother came in and said, looks like the dog got into your luggage.
Right, because there was a mess. There was the...
Is that what you said, sir?
Yes, but the candy wasn't in the luggage.
You want me to say goodbye to you? It'll be a pleasure. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Now, are you a dog owner?
No, I'm not a dog owner. There is a dog that lives in the house with me, though, in LA.
Well, you do know a dog eating chocolate can be a very dangerous thing.
Yes.
You do know that.
Correct.
And if there was nothing left of the chocolate-covered raisins, I would assume that you knew that the dog had consumed those raisins, right?
Correct.
And it would have been remiss if the plaintiff did not take her dog to the vet.
Your Honor, she didn't take her dog to the vet until the next day.
It would have been remiss if she did not take her dog to the vet.
Correct, but I feel like...
To have the dog checked out.
Yes, but I feel like the vet wasn't going to do anything, which they didn't. They sent her home and told her to observe the dog.
What I'm telling you is your cousin a single lady?
Yeah, she's a single lady.
And I assume doesn't have kids?
Nope.
Well, people view their dogs as their children, as they should.
Correct.
And if you have a young child that's gotten into something that is potentially lethal, you want to have that child checked out.
Correct. My question is, why would she wait till the next day?
Well, I don't know why she waited until the next day.
He told me not
to you. That's not a question that's relevant. The question is, the only reason she took the dog to the vet is because you, either negligently or on purpose, left a potentially lethal substance where this dog could get it.
Your Honor, it was.
You are responsible for the vet bill.
May I submit, Your Honor, that it was in my luggage. The dog went inside of the luggage. This was in her home. She should be responsible. And, Your Honor, her dog has attacked people many times. And the plaintiff's brother can attest to that.
Listen to me. The dog did not attack you or your luggage. You're the person. The dog, who is blind, got into your luggage.
Right.
The dog does not look like a sleuth. The dog is a dog, a blind dog, and you left your luggage. Your cousin says it was on top. I don't care if it was underneath. It was left in such a manner. Pay attention, you're trying to speak to me. It was left in such a manner that the dog could consume it. You're responsible for the vet bill. Period. End of discussion. We're done. Hands down. What was the vet bill?
$450.
May I see it, please?
Yes. He had to have a lot of treatment done.
Just a second. Just don't see it. $446. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished with everybody.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
She doesn't watch the dog. The dog went inside of my luggage.
He has tried to murder my dog on many occasions.
I don't know how the dog did that, but it went inside and opened it up.
Yes, I didn't know that he was going to have my feed it to my dog.
And we were in her home where she should have been responsible.
Or the raisins or the chocolate.
And she actually wants to give the dog away, and we can call her mom to verify that.
I love my dog. Look at him. He's so nice.
She doesn't even want to take care of the dog right now.
He eats the finest food, drinks the finest water from Fiji.
Like they say, money is the root of all evil. I hope this doesn't destroy our relationship.
Oh, no, he's not welcome at all, no, or you're going to see me back here.
All parties in the matter of Bad Heart Bull versus Panchal. Approach the podium, please.
Janice Bad Heart Bull is suing Jitendra Panchal for a refund for a fraudulent car sale.
Janice, how do you know the defendant?
I met the defendant, I would say, quite a few years ago when I had a 2011 Scion, and I bought some parts from him for that car.
So he's in the business?
As far as I knew, he works for United Airlines, and his hobby is rebuilding Scions.
You had nothing other than a business relationship for another car?
Correct.
In what month and year?
It was in 2019. I was looking... The month, I would say probably August, I called him to let him know that I would be receiving some money and I was looking to buy another Scion. And since they don't make I just love them because it's like having a truck, but a car, because I can pack a lot of stuff in it and I do a lot of artwork.
What do you do?
I do a lot of artwork, and so I just find things that inspire me.
And you had bought just parts from him before, never a car.
Correct.
When did he advise you that he had one? Also in August?
Yes, he told me he had one, but he needed to do work on it, and I told him I wasn't ready right away.
Did you go and see the car?
No, there was not an opening for that, because he was working on it as far as...
What do you mean there wasn't an opening?
He was fixing it. I don't know what he was doing to it at the point, but he was repairing whatever, and I never saw the car until the day I purchased it.
And on what date did you purchase it?
I purchased in September of 2019.
Okay. And you paid $4,500 for the car.
That's incorrect. He charged me $5,000, and then I gave him another $500 on top of it because I didn't approve that I was unaware of.
Okay, well, you say that you agreed on a price of $4,500 in your complaint.
Yes, we did.
I agreed to a price of $4,500 and received my loan.
Yes, and I do have the evidence and a phone call that we agreed to...
No, don't tell me the...
No, I'm saying yes. I asked for a car for $4,500.
Is that correct, sir?
The price was $4,500, and then I told her that the hood needs to be painted, and I had sent her pictures also. I have the evidence for that, also before and after.
Just a second. So she did, in fact, then give you $5,000?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Plus
and you took the car on what date?
He came and picked me up in September. No, I'm sorry. Date issue was 12/16 of 2019. That's when I took possession.
What?
Well, I'm looking at the...
When did she take possession of the
September.
car?
September? Yeah, I'm like confused on all the paperwork.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He may be the world's greatest scam artist. If you want to tell me bad things about him, I'll give you as much time as you like.
He swore to me that it had a clean engine, clean title.
Janice!
Yes, wait.
Pay attention.
Hartbull says Jitendra Panchal defrauded her regarding the sale of a car.
Now, do you have a bill of sale?
The bill of sale, I've already sent it, but I have an evidence where she signed the paperwork.
I just want to see a bill of sale.
I do not have a bill of sale.
I would like to see the bill of sale.
All I have is his check, the check that the bank wrote, a cashier's check to him, and his signature.
I just need a bill of sale for the car.
I have this evidence up here, if you can see.
He never gave me a bill of sales.
What is a statement of facts? What is that?
Statement of fact. It's a statement of fact that the car is sold as is, and I'm not responsible for any tickets or anything after that.
Well, I don't see that in a bill of sale, sir.
I've never seen that
I don't see that.
This is always, whenever I bought a car, people have got this one signed for me also.
Well, I don't know about... That's nothing. Your statement of facts is nothing.
No, I never saw that paper.
What is that? What is on the other side?
It's a DMV form, which tells you if you're clarifying anything regarding the car, if the car was damaged or anything like that.
Public Service Agency, completely appropriate. Okay. It's a used car. It's 11 years old. You took possession of the car in September of 2019. How long did you drive it?
I had it for 6 months.
And then it stopped running?
It was 4,000 miles before it blew up.
So it blew up. You drove it for 6 months?
It's not like a buyer beware. I have so much about him falsifying documents to the DMV, to my bank, and I even have the paperwork that he filled out, which falsified. He swore to me on this car that it had a clean engine, clean title. That's all I ever heard. Clean engine, clean title. I called him up, and this is how it went. It's like, I'm on
Janice, Janice,
yes.
Janice.
Yes, wait.
Pay attention.
Sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Please, this isn't right. What he did.
What he did may not be.
But how can you lie to the DMV? How can you lie to my bank? How
can you? Bad people do that.
And he's not responsible
Janice,
for anything?
Bad people do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janice Bad Hartbull says Jitendra Panchal defrauded her regarding the sale of a car.
Now, Janice.
Yes.
You bought an 11-year-old car and you drove it for 6 months. Are you telling me that you didn't register it?
No, it was registered.
You just said. And it was registered in whose name?
It was registered in my...
When you were driving the car.
When I drove the car,
Janice.
Yes.
When you drove the car, it was registered for 6 months.
Right, but can we talk?
You don't get your money back.
It's not.
You don't get your money
It's
back.
not about the purchase of the car. It's the whole situation. He took advantage of an elderly. He lied from the very beginning. He promised to fix the work because I wasn't happy with it. He took off out of the country. He took the money and went out of the country, did not follow through with anything. I even have a phone message saying that we agreed to $4,500. He made it $5,000. He's like, oh, I gave you this, and he goes, I put on lifetime guarantee brakes. You got the rims. You got this. I go, I never asked for that.
Janice, he may be the world's greatest scam artist. You drove the car for 6 months. You bought an 11-year-old car. If you want to tell me bad things about him, just to get it off your chest, I'll give you as much time as you like, but you're not getting your money back for the car.
I'm trying to explain that it has more to do with than me purchasing the car and the car being bad. That's not what it's all about. What it's about is the whole agreement. I was honest and told him exactly what I needed. He swore to me that that car would last because I'm on a fixed income. I'm retired. And, you know, I tried to work with the car. I have evidence showing that I've spent a fortune. All I'm asking for is to be reimbursed for the second car I had to buy I had to buy 2 cars in 6 months. And it's, you know, I mean, I have evidence showing where the odometer was turned back.
You don't have a claim against him.
But how can you...
Just listen.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
You don't have a claim against him.
But how can you...
Just listen.
Okay. Yes, I am.
You bought an 11-year-old car.
Right.
You registered it. You drove it for 6 months.
Technically, he registered it.
It had no guarantee. It had no warranty. That's what happens when you buy an 11-year-old car for somebody that is a hobby, fixes up cars. You have no recourse on what you're supposed to be if you're...
Okay.
I don't care what he told you. It's irrelevant.
It's not about what he told me. It's in writing to the DMV. It's in writing to my bank.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to show you.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Oh,
We're finished. We're finished.
No, I have everything, please.
Yeah.
Please, this isn't right what he did. It's got nothing to do with the to the DMV. How can you lie to my bank? How can you?
Bad people do that.
And he's not responsible
Janice,
for anything?
Bad people do that.
And
Bottom line is,
he took more money.
You want your money back. You bought a used car that was 11 years old, and you paid reasonably for it because I've checked. I'm speaking because I checked the Blue Book value of the car and what they're being sold for. So for $4,500 or $5,000, it was a pretty good deal. Some of those cars are being sold for $7,000. Some are being sold for $8,000. I'm sure you know that you looked, because I did, and I'm no genius with the computer. So I was able to find out what they were. You bought a used car, 11 years old, you drove it for 6 months, you don't get any money back. We're done here.
Can I ask a question about the Carfax report?
No.
And the odometer turn back?
No. We're done. What part of we're done don't you understand, folks there?
This case is finished. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. Their relationship was finally over, but he wasn't over it.
I tell him, get out of here. He rammed his truck into my vehicle.
That never happened.
Nope.
Judge Judy.
The car is sold as is. There's no warranty on the car.
He swore to me that it would last for 300,000 miles.
So if after 6 months anything happens to the car, I'm not responsible for it.
I was sitting at a stop sign and it blew up, so...
The car title itself also says it's a clean title.
It lasted 4,000 miles.
It doesn't say it was a rollback or anything like that.
I guess you need to do your research and not trust people that you know.
The situation today is like I don't know her anything.
Somebody's usually responsible for an accident.
A disputed path to their crash.
I was trying to get into this lane here.
But she was already in that lane.
No, I wasn't even in that lane.
I'm actually liking this case.
Now their conflict is at a crossroads.
He's 100% at fault when he hit my car.
Well, they only sent her 50%. She wants the whole thing. What do you think?
This is Judge Judy. Meredith Less is suing fellow motorist William Frankie for an accident on the road.
Judge, this is case number 42 on the calendar in the matter of Less versus Frankie. Parties are sworn in.
Miss Less, you had a car accident with the defendant. The accident was his fault. You did nothing about it for a year. Now you say that we have COVID. You had enough time to have your car fixed, so now you're pursuing a claim against him.
Correct.
That's where we're at. You were driving a 2009 Lincoln, and I assume you had liability insurance, but not collision.
Correct.
With whom were you insured?
Geico?
Do you still have the car?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Frankie, what kind of a car were you driving on August 24th of 2019?
A Toyota Prius,
What year?
2012.
And did you have liability and or collision on the car?
Yes, I had full coverage.
Full.
Yeah.
With what company?
Kemper?
From my information, when you had this accident, did you exchange information with Miss Less? Did you give her your insurance card and your registration and your license?
Yeah. I don't remember about the license and the registration, but I definitely gave her my insurance.
You had never met Mr. Frankie before, is that right?
That's correct.
So if you had an accident that you allege was his fault and you decided not to call the police to the accident, I assume you were satisfied that you had sufficient contact information for him.
Correct. We exchanged all information.
So you had his insurance card.
Correct.
When did you know
My insurance that day, and they started the process. And then I got in touch with Kemper within a few days, and they had me go through their process.
And what happened?
I submitted all the photos and information through the app they told me to download, and then that was it. And then I think within a month I got information regarding what the estimate for repairs would be.
Okay, did you get a check from his insurance company?
In July of this year, but I haven't done anything with it because...
What was the check that you got from Kemper Insurance?
It was 50% of the estimated repair costs.
Would you please tell me what was the amount of the check?
The amount was $715.43.
And when you accepted the check, you signed a document that said that that was in full satisfaction of your claim.
No, I did not.
You had to, otherwise they're not going to send you a check.
Well, what happened was I took the car to a mechanic, and they called the insurance, and we're speaking with them, and they said they would send over a check. And then when I got the check, I called because it was for half the amount when they said they were going to pay 100% of the estimated repair cost.
Did you cash the check?
No. I have the check physically with me.
It?
Yes.
Great. Okay, very good. I'm actually liking this case. So you have an estimate.
I do.
To fix your car.
Through Kemper,
I'd like
yes.
to take a look at it because, Mr. Frankie, if your insurance company sent her a check, they found that you were at fault. Your insurance company found you were at fault. You understand that?
Correct, 50% from my understanding.
Well, they only sent her 50%. Your understanding from what she says is she got 50%. Your insurance company found you were sufficiently at fault to send her a check.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to tell me about the accident in a second. Would you just put up on my evidence screen the estimate of having the car fixed?
Yes, I already did.
$1,430. Okay, great. Now would you show me the damage to the car?
I have two photos. Here's the first one. It's the right passenger side above the wheel fender area.
Mm-hmm. Now, you have a check. So the estimate is for $1,430.
Correct.
To fix it. You got a check for them for $715. Can you tell me why you're suing him for $1,430?
Well, I'm suing him for the full amount because he's 100% at fault when he hit my car.
Yeah, but...
Okay, so when I spoke with my insurance adjuster, he said you either accept the check they sent or you take Mr. Williams to court. So I haven't done anything with the check. I'm not going to because I'm here today.
Okay, so you have that check.
Correct.
You have that check. Take it back and put it on your desk. Now, who was making a left turn? Were you both preparing to make a left turn?
No.
I was preparing to make a left turn.
Okay. And Was Miss Les in front or behind you?
She came from behind me.
All right, Miss Les, you're driving down, you're driving in the same direction. You're in the left lane, he's in the left lane. He was looking to make a left turn?
So I was in the middle lane on the street. He was in the lane to my right. And he was somewhat behind me, like we weren't head to head on that. So when I kept going and then he decided to turn, he hit the front passenger side of my car. I was going straight.
You were going straight, and he says you were making a left turn?
I was getting into the turn lane to make a left turn.
But she was in the middle.
Yeah,
You were on her right.
I was on her right, correct.
I'm trying to visualize
I have
this.
some pictures.
She's in the middle lane, you're on the right lane.
Correct.
Oh, I'd like to see them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, following, you're both going in which direction? Point to the direction that you're going. I see where her car is.
We're going this way.
In that direction.
Correct.
And
I had just
she is the orange.
Correct. So I just come from this direction on a street, and I took a left turn onto La Brea here. So I took a left turn.
Okay.
And I intended to go up here to take another left down here. And this.
Okay,
so
but
I wanted to get.
But she's in your space.
So yes, I think she was. I assumed she was also intending to take a left turn on to Romaine from La Brea here. That's what I assumed, because I was trying to get into this turn lane here. And there's...
Right, but she was already in that lane.
So I did not see her in this lane. I thought that you had to... I think she came from here into this turn lane, and I was going into this turn lane. I was going into this turn lane to get here.
I see that.
I hit her here because I'm assuming she was going to go straight through to take a left turn also.
She was going straight.
Correct.
No, she said she was going straight. You were not making a left turn.
No, I wasn't even in that lane.
She was in this turn lane. So
I was in the middle
you
lane.
Want to show me where you were?
Sure, I would love
to. You want to show me where?
I know I was heading to Los Feliz, where I'd be making a right onto Sunset. So,
okay.
There I am in the middle lane, going northbound.
And you're going straight.
Correct.
And he's all the way on your right.
Correct.
And he wanted to get over to make a left turn.
Correct.
I got it. Did you have any damage to your car, sir?
The damage was very minimal. I have a picture of my mirror, but it was very minimal. Do you want to see the picture?
Well, is the mirror what hit her car?
That's what I thought hit her car. I'm not sure. I think when I have pictures of her car and I see that her mirror, it looked like I hit her mirror and possibly her fender.
Okay.
But I was unsure if I hit the fender when I saw the damage.
Okay. Mr. Frankie, you know, it's an accident. It's not an on purpose. It's an accident. Somebody's usually responsible for an accident. Sometimes it's both people's fault, but usually it's one person's fault. That looks to me, what I saw, that this accident was your fault. You were in the right lane trying to get over to the left lane, and you hit her car. Didn't cause a lot of damage to yours. It's an accident, right? You had insurance. Your insurance company copped out. Her damage was $1,400. They paid her $7,000. She wants the whole thing. What do you think?
I know that I'd already went this direction, the opposite direction, past Romaine to go to Willoughby, which is further down, if you want to look right here on the chart. So Romaine is up here. Willoughby is down here. Parking, there's a parking structure for Target off of Romaine over here that I intended to go to. And you can only get there from going to Romaine. You can't get there from the other direction. So I went down, made a U-turn on Willoughby, came back.
I understand exactly what you're saying to me, sir, but you were in the right lane going to the left lane.
Can I show you another picture then?
And you hit her.
Yes.
She didn't hit you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't think anybody's driving in the parking area.
Sometimes you can in California, because if there's no parking between certain times and certain times.
Oh, this is true. You're right.
And later today.
What special thing about this pontoon boat motivated you to spend 3 times as much as you could have for cash?
Meredith Les says fellow motorist William Frankie merged into her lane and ran into her car.
There's a flaw in in the other picture that she showed.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
So if you would bring up that picture that she showed, you can see, but I don't have her picture, but I do have this Google map right here, whichever you'd like to look at.
Those things.
This right here.
Well, let me see the Google map. They confuse me usually.
So right here, I can turn it so it's the same as the chart.
Okay, better.
Okay, so here's Romaine. We're going up here. This is the turn lane. You can see the arrow right there.
No, I understand that. Where was your car?
So do you see that?
Was your car in the right lane?
The parking spots right here, where you can park your car. So
yes,
I was
not. Is what you're telling me? There were parked cars there?
Yeah,
were there cars parked there?
I parked there. I pulled off the road and parked there from.
For what?
From after I got hit here, I pulled right over here, and I have a picture showing where my car was parked right after that.
Well, you didn't get hit because your car hit her.
Yeah, so I parked right there. I was trying to get into this turn lane, and I don't think anybody's driving in this parking, in the parking area, was what I'm saying. There's two other lanes here.
Well, sometimes you can in California, because if there's no parking between certain times and certain times, a whole...
Oh, this is true. You're right.
Streets. There are streets, and there's free-flowing traffic there.
Actually, you're right.
Yes,
and it was at 7 o'clock, which is a rush hour.
So that would have been no parking in that area, as it is on Wilshire, for instance. You're not allowed to park after 4 o'clock on Wilshire in the park lane.
This is correct.
Mr. Frankie, I think that you owe the plaintiff $715, and then she's got the check from your insurance company. Now you're whole. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $715. We're done.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
She makes the final call.
She looked to the evidence and saw the truth in what transpired that day.
I came in here just trusting that justice would prevail, and I kind of trust the final call.
He stated he was fiddling with the GPS.
Accidents happen.
Trying to get the car fixed.
All parties in the matter of Vasugi versus Hill, step to the podium, please.
Hamid and Susan Vasugi are suing William Hill for the cost of a pontoon boat, a boat motor, and registration fees.
Mr. and Mrs. Vasugi, you purchased what you call a party boat.
Yes.
From the defendant, spent a lot of money not only for the boat, but for parts for it, for furniture for it, and now claim that you can't register it because of certain problems, that you ordered a motor for the boat from him, gave him money for the motor for the boat, which he has not put in to the boat.
Yes.
Correct. Suing for $5,000. I have a couple of questions. Do you have a photograph of this boat that you purchased from the defendant?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Are those pontoons on either side?
Yes.
So it's a pontoon boat?
Yes.
And this pontoon boat is 30 years old, according to your complaint?
Yes, it's a 1989.
And how much do you claim that you paid the defendant for it?
$6,500 cash and $547 DMV fees.
You paid him, according to you, $6,500 in cash. Now, my question to you, Ms. Vasugi, before we go any further is, why would you pay him $6,500 in cash if you're a functional illiterate on the internet, as I am, and you can go on the internet and you can buy a 1989 pontoon boat for anywhere from $2,500 to $5,500? And I have owned a pontoon boat. So I would like you to tell me what special thing about this pontoon boat motivated you to spend 3 times as much as you could have for cash.
The body of the boat is in good condition, the pontoons and the body.
Yes.
We were going to replace all the furniture, and we wanted to fix the current motor, but we changed our mind. We thought it was a good value. We have some boating experience.
Just a second. You know, Mrs. Vasugi, I'm not buying that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So far you've spent $16,000 on a boat with no proof that the money went to him when you could have bought a 31-year-old boat for $5,000.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hamid and Susan Vasugi claim William Hill sold them a pontoon boat with no title or registration.
Okay, now after you paid him allegedly $6,500 for the boat, you invested a whole lot of other money in it. Tell me what other money you invested in the boat, because I need that for my record.
Sure. We bought some furniture for the boat. This is patio furniture.
I have that here. And how much did you pay? Just a second. And how much did you pay for the furniture?
About, it was $3,260.
So far, you're up to almost $10,000.
Yes.
For this 30-year-old boat.
We're retired. We sold a car.
I'd like you to show me.
For the money to do this.
To whom?
To an individual who paid us cash. I have the bill of receipt.
Does it have his name on it and his phone number?
It has his name.
Well, get me his name and his phone number. I'd like to know exactly how much this person paid you for your boat.
For our vehicle. No, this was for our vehicle.
He says he paid you. Just a second. It says he paid Mr. Klein, who I could call. I'm sure you have his number because there's an address there.
Yes, we do. We do.
It says he paid $8,000 in May of 2020. Well, the date has changed on that bill of sale to, it was something else before.
Yes.
Somebody tried to write May 18th.
And I have his phone number if you'd like to call him. But we sold him a 2008 Mercedes-Benz E350. He gave us $8,000 in cash, and that's what we used to purchase the boat.
That's not what you say in your complaint, madam.
Well, we considered
you said you decided to sell. No. In your complaint, you say, we decided to sell our speedboat and buy a patio boat to cruise around. So far, you've spent $10,000
we didn't
on
sell
a boat
the speedboat.
that you could buy.
We still have it.
No, so far, just a second. So far, Ms. Vasugi, you've spent $10,000 I bought from him. You spent $10,000 on new furniture, $6,500 for a boat that you could have bought for $3,500. So we're up to almost $10,000. And then you decided to invest in a motor. And how much money did you give him for the motor?
$6,100.
And do you have a check for that cleared?
Yes.
And I'd like to see.
It's not actually a check. We took cash from the bank for $6,000, and then we had $1,000 out of our pocket.
Miss
100 out of our pocket.
Miss Vasugi, so far you've spent $16,000 on a boat with no proof that the money went to him when you could have bought a 31-year-old boat for $5,000.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
All right, so I'm going to tell you this, Ms. Vasugi. I may be a skeptic, but I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You go back to your local small claims court, and if they buy your evidence, good for you. I don't.
I mean,
do you understand?
I don't understand because I have proof of everything I spent. He gave me stickers that don't even belong.
Nor your husband look like foolish people. I don't believe in your cash transactions that amount to over $10,000.
They do cost that much, Your Honor.
Just a second. They may, and someone may believe you. I don't. You're no worse for your arrival here. You go back to your local small claims court and convince a judge, just like me. So I'm dismissing your case without prejudice because I don't buy it. Got it?
Okay.
Well, we have it.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
The boat was worth that much money.
I was happy with the decision.
We never got a title or registration. We were given invalid stickers and an invalid license plate.
I have all the titles.
I guess we'll take it back to court.
I'd like it to be done.
You did put out rat poison.
On my property side.
A couple's grief is overwhelming.
We have to have evidence in order to connect the defendant to your dead dog.
What's lacking is their proof.
I would like to see the diagnosis from the original vet.
I can't find that. I just have the bills.
Well, that's the most important piece of evidence.
Can I just state something?
You can't state anything. I want to see evidence.
This is Judge Judy. Derek and Nicole Trotter are suing their neighbor, Kevin Edquist, for vet bills, the cost of a dog, and punitive damages after he inadvertently poisoned their pet.
Judge, this is case number 73 on the calendar in the matter of Trotter versus Edquist. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Thank you, Bird. Mr. and Mrs. Trotter, how long have you and the defendant been neighbors?
Close to 18 years.
How long has the wall been up between your two homes?
Ever since we've been there.
Your case is a sad one. According to you, you bought a puppy back in December of 2019.
Correct.
It was one of those adorable.
Oh, yeah.
That's a combination of a poodle and a schnauzer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Very adorable, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I assume that your backyard is fully fenced?
Yeah, it's a block fence, and we have a wandering fig vine that grows on it and up kind of over it.
Is it all cinder block and vine around the backyard?
Yes.
Okay. So I assume that you would let the puppy out by herself.
Right. It was a boy, but yes.
A boy.
Right. Male.
It is your claim that the defendant negligently put out rat poison, and as a result of that, your dog was poisoned and died.
Yeah.
The defendant says, while he does acknowledge that months before he did put out some rat poison, you're going to explain to me why you did that and in what method you did that. It is your claim that there is absolutely no evidence that the rat poison caused the dog to expire, and especially the rat poison that you used. So, Mr. Trotter, you got the dog in December of 2019. Where did you get him from?
We found an ad on Craigslist.
And how much did you pay for him? Because that's part of your lawsuit.
Right. He was $350.
Tell me what happened in August.
So on Sunday morning, August 2nd, we noticed that Loki was displaying just weird symptoms. He wasn't himself. He was just kind of hunched over, just looked off. We didn't give it too much thought. We fed him in the afternoon. But
was he left inside or outside?
They have access to both. We have a doggy door.
You have more than one dog?
Yeah, we have two.
Okay. So you noticed that Loki was acting in a lethargic way.
Right.
When you came home?
Right. That was later on that Sunday, August 2nd. He wasn't at the door to greet us, which he's always is. So we went to the back, found him kind of cowering by the pool. And he wouldn't come, and he was just really bad. So we took him to the emergency vet on the evening of August 2nd.
Do you have a report from the vet?
Yes.
We have that report, yeah. We did one blood test, which came back negative for
no, don't tell me what it came. No, just
okay.
Don't tell me what the blood test came back for. I just want to see your evidence.
Okay.
Here's a report.
Thank you. Well, that tells me that the dog died. I would like to see the report from the blood tests that they did and the diagnosis from the vet.
I don't have that one.
Well, that's the most important piece of evidence.
It should have been in the police report, is where it should have been, in our police report.
Miss Trotter,
yes.
I'm sympathetic with you. I'm a dog lover and sympathetic with you. But this is a court. Court rules on evidence.
That's what we did. He made that report, and that was his findings.
We took him to several vets.
Well, he made the report based on... Just a second. I'll look at the second piece of information that you have. You do understand that the first piece of evidence that you have is of totally no value to me.
Right.
Because it doesn't give a diagnosis.
Right.
As long as you understand that, Mr. Trotter. Okay, now I'll read this.
I don't know why they didn't give us that.
Okay, you brought your dog in and your dog was sick. You went to the vet. You didn't take the dog back to the first vet, which must have been an emergency vet.
Right.
You took the dog to this vet who examined the dog and says the dog seems to have neurological defects were observed on examination, okay? Intention tremors were noted along with delayed conscious of both limbs. Final component to Loki's breathing was also noted. I don't know what that means. I'm not a vet. He was 2% dehydrated and semi-non-ambulatory, and they prescribed some things. And they have a differential diagnosis of toxicity, a toxin.
Bromethylene, yeah.
So what you have is you have a differential diagnosis of a toxin.
Right.
Period.
And a dead dog.
That it is possible that your dog died from ingestion. You have to connect that to the defendant in order for you to be successful in a court.
I understand.
Not in a court of sympathy, but in a court of law.
Right.
So I'm willing to take a look at what evidence that you have.
So
that
in the
connects.
animal care report, you can give
Go
me
ahead.
that. That's from the animal control. Specifically says that his...
No, don't tell me what it says. Don't tell me what it says.
Well,
I'll read it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so you reported that your dog was killed by the neighbor who left out rat poison. So far, we have no evidence of that. Reporter had spoken to the neighbor about the concern in the weeks before the incident, and his dog was confirmed that poison was the cause of death by the dog. Well, that I didn't see. It said a toxin. As a little pet owner, a toxin could be a lot of things.
Right.
Could be something that they eat out on the lawn.
If you keep reading, it'll connect it.
Well, I will, but so far what I've read is just your synopsis without any evidence, because neither of the two reports that you showed me confirm that the dog was killed by a poison.
Right.
Nothing could confirm that.
Okay, so
Except a neurological spinal tap is what the vets told us. In order to confirm this kind of poisoning...
I just told your husband, your makes you not an expert. Just a second. I mean, are you just being purposefully obstinate? I told your husband, you cannot tell me what a vet told you because that's hearsay and inadmissible. The fact that you say it twice doesn't make it any more admissible. It's still inadmissible. If it's in a veterinarian report as a business record, I can read it. But you're telling that to me is hearsay. You say it once, twice, or three times. It doesn't make it less hearsay. Okay. So this says, per the reporter, the neighbor had to have reached over the property line to zip tie a bag lock of poison to a tree in reporter's yard. So that's conjecture because nobody saw that.
We have evidence.
The rats, when you show me evidence, I'll read it.
Can I show you evidence?
Not yet.
Okay.
Right now I'm reading what you put up here for me to see, which is just a story that you think may have happened. The rats chewed through the bags, the poison fell to the ground, and the dog ingested it. That's conjecture. You may have evidence to show me that that is what a fact is, but so far that's all conjecture. That's not fact. That's what you think may have happened. That's not proof in a court. The zip tie is still on the tree and the reporter's yard. Okay. You wanted to show me something else, Ms. Trotter?
So, Your Honor, here are pictures where my husband found the zip ties. The day he died, he went out in the backyard to see what could have possibly caused his death, and this is what he found. There's a few pictures here.
Also, if you notice in that report that you just went over from the animal control, it did specifically say that Loki had green residue in his feces. It was bright green, the same color as the poison.
Actually, Mr. Trotter, what it said was very clear. It said that it was reported to animal control that the dog had had discoloration in its feces for 2 weeks prior to his death.
Yes.
No, and also on August 1st, we also took pictures of his feces.
Just what I'm telling you was that your dog was sick for 2 weeks.
We didn't know he was sick. He had no symptoms.
Listen to me. Do not interrupt me again. Whoever spoke to animal control confirmed to animal control that the dog had had green feces for 2 weeks prior to the dog getting sick.
Right.
I'm going to read it. I'll read it to you, Ms. Strata.
Right.
Put the other piece of evidence up again.
Right.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with that
So
at
this
all.
is from animal. Okay. What you are doing is interrupting me. Throughout my conversation, they stated, we don't believe that Kevin placed poison out intentionally. However, we are upset that the poison was placed on our property without our knowledge. Okay. On August 5th, they arrived at your house and spoke to the dog owner. The animal control officer said, I explained to the Trotters that there does not seem to be intent of crimes against animals and evidence that Loki passed away from the rodent poison as the blood work was relatively normal and there was no body to conduct an autopsy on. to conclusively determine that Loki passed away due to the ingestion of a specific poison set out by Kevin. That's what Animal Control says in their report, which is what, Mrs. Trotter, I'm trying to elicit from you.
Can I say something?
In order for you to establish that the defendant is responsible for your dog's death, you have to establish that the dog was poisoned.
I have evidence that I'm still wanting to show you.
I'm going to see all your evidence.
Okay.
I'm looking, you gave me this evidence.
So we have the obvious 2 weeks prior and also...
It was bright green for 2 weeks.
No, it was not bright green for 2 weeks. It was once.
Off and on.
Maybe a couple times over the 2-week period, we noticed his stool color was bright green.
It was only on August 1st that we actually took pictures.
But he had no symptoms whatsoever at that time, so we attribute it to diet related because I feed my dogs a raw diet, blueberries, yellow vegetables, and I went on a Facebook group that I go on to get their feedback, and since there were no symptoms, they told me they believed it was diet related.
Don't tell me what anybody else told you. You can't tell me what anybody else told you.
He had no symptoms at that time.
It's
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Here is another picture of all the zip ties that we cut off from his placement of putting these zip ties on our wall. The time my husband took these zip ties to him, he laughed in my husband's face.
Derek and Nicole Trotter claim neighbor Kevin Edquist is responsible for fatally poisoning their dog, Loki.
Keep going.
So here are pictures.
Miss Trotter.
Here's
I
some
see pictures. Next.
Okay.
Next.
You saw this one?
What's next? I saw it.
The residue here in our property, and below the zip ties, you can see the poison residue on our vine here.
And he admits to putting it there.
In the report that you read, he admitted to putting it there. Here's another picture where...
I read the report.
You can see one of the zip ties.
I read the report.
Below our property wall, and you can see that. And then here is another picture of all the zip ties that we cut off from his placement of putting these zip ties on our wall.
Any other evidence that you want me to see?
No. At the time my husband took these zip ties to him, he laughed in my husband's face.
Don't tell me what he did unless you were there. Were you there?
He was there.
No, but I was there. And yes, he did.
I know you were there, but you have to tell me.
Yeah.
If she tells me, it's because you told her.
I took all the zip ties in a
hearsay.
baggie and said, this can never happen again. And he just kind of laughed and said, well, there's no blood in the report. But it doesn't show up in the blood report, that type of poison.
Okay, Mr. Trotter. Puppy died on August 4th. And a couple of weeks later, you got a new puppy. Do you like the new puppy?
He's very cute, yes.
He
very sweet.
Doesn't replace our old dog.
Okay. Well, believe me, I do understand that. I've had pets my whole life, and I've lost them, and sometimes I've lost them to old age, and sometimes not.
Your Honor, can I just state something?
No, you can't state anything. I want to see evidence. I've looked at what you...
Gentlemen,
and I haven't spoken.
Not to...
If the defendant attached anything to your side of the property, that's trespass. You might sue him for trespass. What you have to prove... I know you're looking for things and not listening, Mrs. Trotter, so I guess I'm talking to your husband and to another 10 million people. Okay? My dogs have gotten sick from a lot of toxins. When the gardener puts in fertilizer, if I'm not careful enough, and one of them grabs and eats one of the chunks of fertilizer, they get very sick from a toxin. When there are rabbit droppings or deer droppings, and if a dog ingests that, it's a toxin. They can get sick and die. I'm not saying that what the defendant did by putting out rat poison, you did put out rat poison, is that correct?
Over the last 10, 12 years, correct. Yes.
In my property.
But you did for a period of time.
Correct.
Within months of this, you put out rat poison.
On my property side, yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Two things. That the dog died as a result of a poisoning.
Well, that's what bromethylene does. It's a neurological poison.
I am acutely aware of seizures. I lost a little dog 3 months ago.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Derek and Nicole Trotter say the negligence of neighbor Kevin Edquist led to the poisoning and death of their dog, Loki.
Now, What you have to establish are two things: that your dog died from a poison other than any other kind of just toxin, which is a toxic material, and connect the defendant to that. So far, the only thing that you showed me is a to whom it may concern letter that I assure you was written recently, not back in August. Would that be correct?
It was about a...
The second...
Right.
Attention.
Does the manner of the
may
death of the dog count? Does that count as evidence, the manner of death? Because he died of a seizure.
Just a second. If you had a vet here who could tell me that that seizure that vet observed, or the aftermath of that seizure, was a direct result of a rat poison, that would be a nexus.
Well, that's what bromethylene does. It's a neurological poison.
It kills
Let me explain
neurologically.
something to you, sir. I am acutely aware of seizures. I lost a little dog 3 months ago that was had not been poisoned.
Our dog's feces was the same color as the poison.
Had not. Just a second. What I'm telling you is, I don't know how it happened. I don't know the cause of it because I, like you, said I don't want to put myself or the dog through anything else, through an autopsy to find out what happened, and I'm not going to do that. That's what I said to and I didn't, and I still don't know the reason for that seizure. I didn't sue anybody. You want to sue the defendant, and it is possible that some of the poison that he put out months ago dripped onto your property, and it is also possible that your puppy was licking that poison over a long period of time because there was some evidence of it for weeks. All of that is possible. We don't deal with possibilities in court. We deal with evidence. Two things: that the dog died as a result of a poisoning, and two, something related to the defendant that relates him to that poison. You haven't breached that first threshold that the dog died of a poison.
The pictures that we showed you were placed in our property.
No, there's no... Okay, right. I feel I'm not... Now I'm finished. I'm actually finished with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, I feel sorry for you. Believe me, I understand your pain, and I understand the fact that when you let a dog outside, especially a puppy, and you leave that dog the ability to go in and out all day long without being watched, things happen. It is possible, I'm not going to say it more than this time, it is possible that the dog's death resulted from the rat poison that the defendant put out on the property. You have not proven to me that your dog was poisoned through evidence that was clearly available to you, and if there was evidence that the dog was poisoned, it would have been in the blood work. Okay. And if it wasn't evident in the blood work, then when the dog died, you could have had an autopsy to establish to your own satisfaction that the dog died as a result of poisoning.
We didn't know until
case
we
is
found
dismissed.
the poison.
We're done. Thank you. We're done. No.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
The classes.
What justification is there not to pay her any money?
She was late. She probably doesn't understand what she's trying to say.
Judge Judy.
We know it was him. We know he did it. We know he put the poison on our property.
I didn't put poison out. I didn't poison her dog.
And he should pay. He should do the decent thing. But he's not a decent human being.
I had put poison out over the 10, 12 years. But not during this period of time.
No, we've had dogs for 13 years, never had a problem before until recently, and we asked him not to place poison there.
It's possible. It could be the pull guy. I don't know. It could be something else. I have no evidence.
And he didn't care. He still put poison in our property, which we did not know about.
It was a money grab.
I went over to approach him, and he basically laughed in my face about it.
And I told him I'm very sorry for loss of your dog.
They each paid cold, hard cash.
The reduced rate ski passes.
$500 to ski all year round. They're usually around $1,000.
Then it all went downhill fast.
And the ski passes turned out to be fraudulent.
Yes.
We are all in the same exact position.
No, you're not. You have to find the person that duped you if you were a dope that got duped.
Judy, Victoria Vieman, Jonathan Friedland, and Nicholas Shore are suing Vanessa de Blasio for selling them fraudulent ski passes.
Judge, this is case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Vieman, Friedland, Shore versus de Blasio. Parties have been sworn in. Have a seat, please.
Miss Vieman, are you going to speak for the three of you?
I'm going to do my best, yes. And they're going to chime in.
Well, no, they won't chime in. Nobody chimes in here. We don't just hop in. We just have a spokesperson for a group. It's tidier that way. And
Agreed.
From what I gather, you had most of the contact with the defendant. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So prior to your interaction with her over these friends and family reduced rate ski passes, I gather that you did not know the defendant.
Not personally, no. I met the defendant through a coworker.
You met her personally through a coworker or over the internet?
Over the internet, yes. It was back in May when we were all socially distanced.
Is today the first day you met her in person?
That's correct.
So all of your other dealings with her had been over the internet?
Correct.
Through a coworker who somehow had interactions with her. And this is what your case is about. Miss de Blasio said that she could secure discount rate friends and family ski passes. And you said, oh, that's great, because I ski and I ski.
Well, we ski all over California, but our home base, per se, is Mammoth Mountain.
Okay, and what are the name of these ski passes?
They're called Icon, and we're all returning pass holders for Icon, so we know the pass very well.
How much is the usual rate for an annual pass? You bought annual passes, correct?
That's correct, for the season. And they're usually around $1,000.
Per ticket?
Per season pass, correct.
How much was the defendant offering to sell them for?
$500 for no blackout dates, which means that you can ski any day of the year, including holidays, and then $400 for blackout dates, which means you cannot ski for the holidays.
Well, so that's a pretty good deal. That's a 50% reduction.
That's right, yes.
Or more, if
yes.
you decide to give up holidays.
Exactly.
What did you choose?
$500 to ski all year round.
And what about your two friends?
Likewise. Both Jonathan Friedland and Nick Shore paid Vanessa for $500, and then Matt Miwa, who couldn't be here with us today, chose $400 with blackout dates.
Okay, well, he's not here today.
That's right.
Is that correct, gentlemen, that each of you paid the defendant $500 for a year-round ski pass that did not exclude holidays, so you could ski during the holidays? You make your payment to the defendant.
I paid Victoria via Venmo, and then she transferred that money to Vanessa.
And then I paid Vanessa directly through Zelle.
Vanessa is Mr. Blasio.
Yes.
And how did you pay the $1,000?
Through Zelle, Bank of America. I first Zelled or wired Vanessa, the defendant, $500.
And what about?
Yes. So first on June 3rd.
For you?
Yes, because I realized that it had been legit. It was a correct process.
Just a second.
Okay.
You sent her yours.
Yes.
Then he sent you, what is his name?
Jonathan.
What's your name, sir?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Jonathan, you sent Miss Vieman your $500.
Yes, that's correct.
And she sent it to the defendant.
Correct.
Via Zelle. Correct, Miss Vieman?
Correct, Your Honor.
And did you send it to Mr. Blasio's a personal account? How did you address it when you sent it to her?
The description, you mean, Your Honor?
Yes. Does it have her name on the account?
Yes, it does. Yes. It has her name, her phone number. I can show it to you right here if you'd like.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Right here. Name, phone number, June 4th, Icon Pass.
Okay. And so you received from these three people, to your name and your account, $1,500. Is that correct?
Not from the three people, only from two. That was $1,500. I never received any money from Jonathan directly.
I don't care whether you received it directly. From these three people, you received $1,500.
No.
For 3 ski passes.
No.
Well, she sent you money from Jonathan.
Correct.
But from these 3 people in total, you received $1,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what they were purchasing were Icon ski passes.
That's right.
And the Icon ski passes turned out to be fraudulent.
Yes.
Were each of you notified that the Icon ski passes were fakes?
Yes, Your Honor. We all 3 got this fraudulent email.
Okay, now, so you're out $1,500 and you have no passes.
That's right.
And the money was forwarded to you, and they have no ski passes. And your defense is that you were duped just like they were.
Yes, Your Honor. We are all in the same exact position.
No, you're not. No, you're not. They gave you money.
Mm-hmm.
They have no... Go sue somebody.
So...
If you were a dope that got duped, go sue, go find the person who duped you.
He disappeared, Your Honor.
I'm going to repeat that one more time. You go find the guy that duped you right now. They got duped by you.
That's not true, Your Honor.
They sent you money.
That's not true, Your Honor.
They sent you money. Yes, they did. They said, we just got through that.
Your Honor,
that's not true. They sent it to your bank. No, that is true. That's 100% true.
With all due respect, Your Honor,
they sent it to your bank. Are you disputing what they just showed me?
I am disputing the context in which she agreed to send over money.
Really?
Yes.
You're disputing the context.
Correct. I did not.
Go. 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to context.
Absolutely.
She sent you money. Go.
Okay. So when she reached out to me via Facebook. The original post I do have here if you want to see it. It states in the...
I don't.
Okay. It states...
I don't. Sure. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to see it, and don't tell me what it states.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is you have to go find the person that duped you if you were a dope that got duped. They sent you money. They can touch you. They cared that duped you. Meanwhile, they sent you money. You have to return their money. It gives you a greater incentive to go find
With all due respect, Your Honor, you said that I had 3 minutes.
In the amount of $1,500.
You said I had 3 minutes to talk, and then you didn't give it to me.
We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Unfortunately, I guess we live in a time where people don't have to take responsibility for the adult decisions that they make.
We knew exactly what we were paying for. She just got duped, just like Judge Judy said.
Lesson learned.
I really thought it was a good deal, and I've gotten college discount passes before where they were discounted, and I thought this was one of those deals.
Mine was also fraudulent.
Icon Pass basically sent us an email stating it was a fraudulent purchase with a fraudulent credit card.
We all got the same email.
We're really thankful that after 7 months of just our heads spinning with this crazy story, we're able to kind of put it to bed.
We were all scammed.
I'm just super thrilled with Judge Judy's decision, and I'm ready to get out there and shred.
Just be careful with you, Kai.
Ready to get on the mountain, right, boys?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lloyd versus Lloyd, step forward.
18-year-old Cody Lloyd is suing his father, Randall Lloyd, for the value of a car he sold illegally.
Tell me your first name.
Cody?
Cody, you are 18?
Yes.
And this is your dad?
Yep.
Life, is that correct?
No, he was a weekend dad. He was a weekend dad until I moved in with him permanently on August 14th.
Of 2013?
2011.
2011. But you were a working kid, saved up some money, enough money to buy a car.
Yes.
And you weren't 18 yet, so you couldn't have the car titled solely in your name. I don't think your father disputes any of those facts. You spent your money. It was money that you earned from work.
Yes.
What kind of a car did you purchase?
It was a 2001 Lexus ES 300.
Did you go with your dad to find it?
It was just on the corner outside of our house. It was for sale on the corner outside of a busy street. And I just saw it one day coming in, and I wanted to buy it, yes.
How much did you pay for it?
$4,200.
And you had that money in a bank?
Yes.
What kind of work had you done to save up that money?
I worked for insulated pipe shields for about 1.5 years.
Graduate from high school?
Yes.
Go on to school after that?
I go to Folsom Lake College right now.
Great. So this is what the case is about. You went to live with your father in 2011, purchased this car with your own money. Your father, for some reason, was out of town, and according to your father, you invited some friends over who sadly trashed your house.
Yes.
At that time, your father was very disappointed in you, and instead of turning the car over to you when you became 18, he kept the car. You want to sell it and show me proof that you sold it.
I don't have proof. I got rid of the car a couple of weeks ago.
You know, I don't believe you. And I'm telling you right now, Mr. Lloyd, before we even start, because you said that to me, I don't even think I like you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, as somebody who's raised a lot of children, one thing I know is every time you go away and there is a free house, there is a party.
And later today,
Other than the plaintiff, who else lives there?
A single girl lives above the plaintiff.
And has she paid her rent consistently during the pandemic?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're very lucky.
Cody Lloyd says his father, Randall Lloyd, illegally sold his vehicle. Randall is countersuing for damage to his home caused during a party thrown by Cody.
At some point, you knew that your son wanted his car. If I believed that you sold it, then you're just a nasty, vicious man. So I don't know who you think you're getting over on, but it sure isn't me. How many children does your father have, Cody?
3.
3. Are you the oldest, youngest?
I'm in the middle.
Do any of his other children live with him?
My sister Kelly, she's my twin. She lives with him. And I have a half-sister named Alex.
Lives with him.
Mm-hmm.
And how long has that child lived with him?
Ever since I've been there, since August 14th.
Well, as somebody who's raised a lot of children, one thing I know is every time you go away and there is a free house, there is a party. Now, sometimes those parties get out of hand, but that doesn't mean, Mr. Lloyd, that you can't steal your son's property. Wasn't your money that purchased the car? Wasn't your car to sell? Your name may have been on the car just for the purposes of convenience until he turned 18. You had no right to sell it. You had no right to use it in any way. None at all. Now, if I can't return the car to him because I have no power to do that, because I have a feeling that whatever I say you're going to have an answer for, I'm going to award him the money that he paid for it, which is $4,200. But I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, Mr. Lloyd, because it's the only way that I can actually punish you. You have a counterclaim for thousands of dollars for the destruction of your home. I'm dismissing it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,200. The counterclaim's dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was graduation night. I just want to have a couple friends over. It got out of hand.
He passed out, and there was like over 100 people, and he didn't know but a few of them.
I cleaned up what I could before I fell asleep.
It was gone. It was trashed. He was still drunk.
That was it?
Tough love, yeah.
I don't want to sound cold, but not trusting anybody, I don't know. That sounds evil.
Don't leave your kids at home alone.
All parties in the matter of Nielsen versus LaHome. Step to the podium, please.
Alexander Nielsen is suing his former landlord, Mary LaHome, for wrongfully withholding his security deposit.
Mr. Nielsen, you were a tenant of the defendants for almost 2 years, according to your complaint. When COVID struck, according to you, you had a conversation with, either in person or by text, and indicated to her that you could not continue to pay the rent that you were paying, which was $2,000 a month. According to you, the defendant agreed, because of your work situation and the pandemic, to reduce your rent to $1,500 a month, which you did for 2 months. And then you realized that financially you could no longer afford to pay rent. I assume you either went to stay with family, or you'll tell me in a moment. And the defendant kept your security deposit. She says the security deposit was for the difference between the $2,000 a month rent you were supposed to pay and the $1,500 that you actually did pay, and that there was no agreement that you would be. How many apartments do you have?
Just the one building. There's 3 apartments in there.
Are they all rented?
Yes.
Other than the plaintiff, who else lives there?
A single girl lives above the plaintiff. And then...
Just a second. What's her rent?
Her rent is $29.50, but it's a 2-bedroom apartment.
And has she paid her rent consistently during the pandemic?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who was the other tenant that you
The
have?
other tenant is on the top floor. It's another 2-bedroom. It's a husband and wife, and they have paid their rent consistently.
You're very lucky.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You agreed to reduce his rent. You say yes, but there were conditions. I'd like to see your proof of conditions.
Unfortunately, all my text messages have completely dropped off my phone.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alexander Nielsen is suing his former landlord, Mary LaHome, for wrongfully withholding his security deposit.
Yeah.
Would you please tell me, Mr. Nielsen, on what date did you advise the defendant that, before I get to that, what kind of...
In the automotive industry.
Do you work for someone or yourself?
I work for someone.
Were your hours reduced by the company during the pandemic?
Yes.
How long have you worked for this company?
About 4 years.
And your work hours went from what to what?
They went from a bit of overtime to actually regular time.
So you lost your overtime?
Primarily, yes.
You were lucky.
I am.
Are you still working for the company?
Yes.
Where did you move to when you left the defendants?
I'm staying at family's place.
Would you tell me about the date and the conversation that you had with the defendant about reducing your rent because your work hours had been reduced?
Sure. Yeah, it was end of May, and I had reached out stating that due to the pandemic and my circumstances, as you've noted so already, that it wasn't viable for me to continue to stay at the $2,000 a month rent. And I'm very appreciative that I've, been able to stay here, and I like the place. I don't have any complaints with anything, but I can't continue to pay at this full price. And I asked if it was feasible to reduce the rent to $1,500 a month for a few months, and that was my ask of the landlord, and she explicitly agreed via text to that.
May I see the texts?
Sure.
Unless you don't dispute that. Unless you don't dispute his rent to $1,500 a month for a couple of months. In the texts.
Yes, but I had conditions, and one condition was...
Okay, well, just a second. I'll hear you if you say yes, but there were conditions. I'll see them in the text.
So the message that she sent was June 3rd. The months for the reduced rent were June and July.
June 3rd, okay, for 2 months. Okay, $1,500 for 2 months. I have to see the email, the text right before that. Where are the texts right before that?
I have that on my phone, I believe. I don't know if that one is.
Sure. Well, I need it right before that, but that's just a statement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
Are you able to see if I put the phone? I don't think I have the one prior written. I have it in the text on my phone. Is that okay?
Do you have it on your phone? You can look on your phone, sir. Yes, of course.
Okay, so the message immediately before the $1,500 for 2 months?
You can put it up there and I can read it,
Great.
sir. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Loam, that is crystal clear that you agreed to reduce his rent for 2 months to $1,500. Now you say yes, but there were conditions. I'd like to see your proof of conditions.
Unfortunately, all my text messages to Alex and from Alex have completely dropped off my phone. I took my phone.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. You owe him $1,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy. Divorce kills a catered party.
I don't have the complete contract.
Because it wasn't your contract.
There's a little bit of a story here.
I know you want to make it a story. This is a contract.
Judge Judy.
Well, I'm very disappointed. She didn't give me a chance to give my side of the story at all.
I think she's incredibly clear-headed and very concise in her interpretation and judgment.
I asked for documentation, that he would get me some pay stubs, some sort of evidence, which he never did.
She asked, and I provided her with information which she just claimed she didn't receive.
He was having a, financial hardship.
I mean, I feel like regardless of whatever moratorium rent, I felt like that was the moral thing to do.
It's rented out.
I'm glad it's over.
You're never supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that many times.
A husband's design sense made no sense.
Mr. Miso said, you pick out the materials. And when his wife saw, she said it looked awful.
Now they're coming after the contractor.
I obviously made a poor decision.
Mr. Miso knows he's wrong, but you're the pro.
This is are suing contractor John Sterling for a refund for a bar he never finished building.
Judges, case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Miso versus Sterling. Parties have been sworn in.
Mr. and Mrs. Miso, you hired the defendant to build a bar in your home, correct?
That's correct.
Who's going to speak initially for the two of you?
I'll speak initially, but Carol will add some comments.
I'm sure. And the total purchase price was $7,900.
That's correct.
And that was for labor and materials.
Yes.
On what date did you give him a first payment?
First payment was of $2,400 on November 28th, 2018.
Okay, and when was the next payment?
The next payment for $2,900 was January 15th, 2019.
When did the defendant start work on the project?
I don't know exactly the date that he started work.
Tell me what date you started work, Mr. Sterling.
It was early December as we got materials into the shop, I think first week of December.
Okay, and Mr. Miso, how did you find the defendant?
Very pleasant. We were referred to Mr.
No, how did you find him? By reference?
I actually find him very pleasant still. We were, and they had apparently referred prior clients to him.
Had you just bought your home?
Yes. It was we had moved from another area in the neighborhood and bought a home about 5 years old, and we wanted to renovate it a little bit.
But you were already living in the home.
That is correct.
Prior to giving him the initial money, the $2,400, did you prepare a sketch or show him a photograph of what you wanted?
Yes, we did. And in fact, he prepared the sketch.
Can I see?
Well, first
May I see it, please?
As the woman steps in.
Don't just a sec. Hello? No, this is not stepping in time. Stepping in is when I ask you a question.
Okay.
Right now, all I want to see is the photograph or sketch that the defendant prepared.
So this is the entertainment center that we were attempting to match. I'll switch it.
It's a better one.
All right. So this is the photograph, Mr. Miso, of the piece of furniture that you wanted to be aligned with the bar that you wanted him to build.
Correct. It was, if I could switch the picture, you can kind of see what we were talking about. That's the same unit, and the room extends further down and against the door was intended to be.
I see. And there is something there.
Correct. That is what's been delivered.
That's what was delivered that had not been there before.
Correct.
You'll show me another picture of that later.
Absolutely, when you ask for it.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay.
So it was supposed to match that and be complementary to that. Did Mr. Sterling give you an approximate amount that he would be spending for materials?
I don't remember a breakdown.
As opposed to labor?
I don't remember a breakdown of that.
Did you have a breakdown, Mr. Sterling? How much for labor and how much for materials?
It wasn't all that detailed, but the initial payment was to cover materials.
So the $2,400 was to cover materials?
Yes.
And the $2,900 was your labor?
That covered a down payment on the paint and some of the shop labor to that point.
Mr. Sterling?
Yes.
Mr. Sterling, I'm going to ask you for receipts for all the materials that you purchased. I just want you to be aware of the fact I'm going to ask you for receipts from all the materials that you furnished for this project.
I understand.
I certainly hope you have them.
I don't.
Okay, good. Well, that would be a mistake. That's your business.
You're correct.
This is your business, because what happened is they want their money back. They paid you over $5,000, and I'm going to take a look at the pictures. If I look at the pictures and it looks to me like tacky stuff, that means you got paid $5,000 and you just increased your labor cost. So you should have bills for what you spent so that you can decipher whether or not you gave him quality or you gave him schlock. So now what I would like to see, because we're going to go one step further. It is your defense, and I quite understand your defense. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. That Mr. Miso, according to you, said you pick out the materials, and you did. And when his wife saw what you had picked out, she went crazy, and she said it looked awful. And you said, I had your husband's go-ahead, and he at this time is trying to find a corner to hide in because he wasn't getting in between you and his wife. And if he had to pick somebody, he was going to pick her side. It's not a hard scenario. That's why you should have the receipts for what you spent. Got it?
Correct.
You know, I've been married for a long time. I know about, well, he said I could do that. What? You know, where can I go and hide? Do you understand, Mr. Miso?
I understand.
Yes.
I do.
I know you understand. I knew you got it as this piece of furniture that he delivered.
I'd show that first.
Did you want to see the drawing first that Mr. Sterling had prepared?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I got ahead of myself. Let me see the drawing. Got it. It looks very, very much like, and it's beautiful. It's actually lovely. The bottom part of that, by the way, just the bottom part without the top fixture, looks very much like a bathroom vanity. I'm just telling you. It does. I mean, it's completed, and it depends upon the finishing.
Right. So
it looks lovely. And in the middle of that, are you going to have water, or it's just going to be a dry bar?
A dry bar.
A dry bar, consistent with the other piece that you had there.
Correct.
Great. Now can I see a photograph of what he delivered?
Yes. And if I can show what
is in the other boxes?
I assume those are, we have not opened them, but we presume they are the two
wine
refrigerators.
Wine refrigerators.
Wine refrigerator and
What
a small.
are they?
They're the wine refrigerators they ordered.
Where are they supposed to go?
If you look in the original drawing, you have a center section on the lower that's storage, and the two outboard on that drawing shows you the wine.
So it's just the center panel that was delivered.
It was the lower section and the refrigerators so that I could get the granite guy to come in and drop a top on.
But you were going to have to build the sides once they put the refrigerator part in.
No, the side panels for the refrigerators are there. They're in the picture.
Let me see.
He's pointing to it right there. That's the side panel.
Could you put the sketch in such a way that I can look at both the sketch and what he delivered?
I have pictures of the other cabinets, too, that did not get delivered.
Side panels. What's supposed to be on side panels that's different from...
It's a finished end panel that is constructed the same as the doors. So it looks basically like a door on the end of the cabinet.
Are those supposed to be drawers? They look like drawers on top that I don't see.
Yes.
Where are the drawers?
They're right there above the doors. They just don't have handles on them yet.
They just don't have handles on them?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Miso.
Yes.
What is it that you didn't like about what he delivered?
It was, actually, if I can take you back to the first communication that we had, the camera to hone in on the yellow, was simply stated, we moved into a new home, and we'd like to get a bar built that matches our entertainment center.
Forget it, Mr. Miso. My organization, I asked you a very simple question. I looked at the sketch. I looked at this. I see what's there. I see that you had a disagreement with him, but I want to know what it is that you didn't like about what he delivered. I looked at the sketch.
Yeah, that it didn't look like this.
That's not what they asked for.
You mean it was the color? Just a second. The color is what you were objecting to. It was supposed to be a different color. Yeah. Now show me a picture of the... Don't look at her. Don't look at her, Mr. Miso. That's the problem. Do you understand that's the problem? I'm not looking at her either. What color, Mr. Miso, is the other piece that you showed him that you wanted to match?
I would call it
that piece?
I would call it...
No, show it to me.
Oh, show it to you?
Show it to me.
There you go.
Show it to me again. No, not that piece. Is that the piece in the other room?
Yes. Sorry,
I want to see the piece in the other room.
There we go.
The photograph. The photograph. Okay, so what you're objecting to is that what he delivered was stark white, textured look. Is that what you're talking about?
A couple things. One is that it is a stark white, but it does. If you feel the wood, it's a very different. As you said. Yes.
Listen, he didn't specify the wood in your contract. You didn't have a specification of wood.
We did
but
specify
those two
wood
items,
and paint.
if it was to match, really? That's where we're going to happen. Mr. Miso, what color is that?
I would call that.
Think before you act.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They showed you what color they wanted. That is not white. What you delivered to them was a white. I mean, you're the pro. You're the pro.
Paul and Carol Miso say contractor John Sterling failed to deliver a finished bar they hired him to build for their family room.
Now, what color is that original piece that you wanted him to complement in the new bar?
An off-white.
What color is that?
An off-white color.
An off-white. Okay. And what color would you describe what he delivered? Conversation with him or approve a paint finish, a paint color?
I did.
Did you? I'm asking you.
I did.
And what color did you approve?
I said that it was okay to go with white.
And that's what he did.
That's correct.
That's what he did. So the customer gave him the color. Now, I wouldn't do that, and I know, Mr. Miso, you will never do that again.
That is correct.
Because you can go with white. It's not an answer. Mr. Sterling.
Yes.
I'm coming back to you, sir.
Yes.
I want you to know that Mr. Miso knows he's wrong. He just had to choose between which one was going to be beheaded. But you're the pro. They showed you what color they wanted. That is not white. What you delivered to them was a white. I mean, you're the pro. You're the pro. So if you're the pro and you say, listen, do you want to match that color or do you want to go as close to that color as we can?
The contract does not specify matching the other cabinet. The contract specifies Swiss Coffee Kelly-Moore paint. That's what the contract specifies. The contract does not specify matching another cabinet.
They showed you this cabinet, Mr. Sterling, did they not?
Yes.
I'm not in it.
Yes, I saw that cabinet.
And did they not say to, just a second, did they not say to you, let's be very honest with each other, just as Mr. Miso has been honest with me today, did they not say to you that they wanted it to be a complement to this cabinet?
Complimentary, yes.
Yes. And you're the professional. Now,
well, it's...
I am a trained lawyer. I'm not a decorator. When I try to do something, they call it a decorator. But I would never put stark white as a professional next to oak. I would say, listen, before you say you can go with white, why don't you talk to the missus? Why don't I make you a paint board so that you can take a look and see what color you want? As the professional, Mr. Sterling, that's what I would do.
Well, it's what I offered to do.
And so I'm surprised. Did you?
Yeah.
Offer to do a paint board? Did you? Good for you. And is that what he said to you, can go with white?
No, I offered to make samples or get things ready for them. And I said, you have things to match. We can match the existing cabinet that you have. And I don't know what that finish is. That's a bought product. I said, we have to take that down, have that color matched. You have another color here in the house.
And you were talking to Mr. Miso. You were talking to Mr. Miso. You don't deny that you had this conversation with him? I believe him.
I did not have that conversation.
That has to be a conversation. Well, when did you tell him you can go with white?
When we were looking at, we were in the family room, living room combination there, and asked what color, and I obviously made a poor decision. But there was no color palette to pick from. I mean,
No. I didn't, Mr. Miso, I didn't say there was a color palette to pick from. I said, he says that he told you when you were having that conversation in the living room. By the way, were you living in the house when you were having that conversation?
Yes.
Is there a TV in the living room?
In the family room next to it, yes.
Is that where you were having the conversation with him about the color? Mr. Miso?
Yes.
Is that where you were having the conversation in the family room?
Yes.
Was the TV on or off?
TV was off, I believe.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see, when people ask me questions about things, you know what my response is? I'm a television personality. Speak to an expert. You're never supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul and Carol Miso claim cunt for a family room bar he never completed.
Okay, listen, you have a contract?
The color I painted that cabinet is the color of their trim in the house. That's where I came up with that color. I didn't pull that out of the air. It matches the color of the trim in their house. That's where I got the color.
But you don't do a piece of furniture to match trim.
Sometimes we do,
I have
yes.
a lot of houses. I have a lot of houses. I never saw a piece of furniture like that, a big piece of furniture that matches trim when it's on the same wall in an opening as something that you're trying to complement that is so clearly not a complementary color. Listen, you have a contract. You use the kind of paint that was in the contract. I don't think that there's a discrepancy about that. It was the color. The color is off. The bottom part of it matches the sketch that we showed. It does have 4 parts. It has drawers. He said the side panels are there. The color is off. I absolutely, completely understand why your wife is beside herself with the white color. I absolutely understand that, but that's not his fault. Mr. Misu, that's on you. That's on you. What do you do for a living?
I'm an operations manager.
You see, when people ask me questions about things, you know, they'll say, what do you think about whether we should use this material for the pool or use this material for this? I'm a television personality. I have no idea about that. Speak to an expert. You're never supposed to make a decorating decision.
I've been told that many times.
So, but you can't blame Mr. Sterling for that, and you can't ask for all the money back because he did, in fact, buy, even though he doesn't have all the receipts, he did, in fact, buy what he was supposed to buy, the cooling equipment and whatever, the refrigerator, and it's all there. He did, in fact, deliver the center part. Who stopped the work? Did you tell him to stop the work?
Carol asked me not to come back till she discussed things with her husband.
Yes. Okay, well, now just a second. So right now, he will complete this bar for you, and you have to pay him the balance of the $7,900. If you don't have, because he seems like a very nice man, and his responses to me were totally consistent with a reasonable contractor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, now, in this case, it's the customer's problem. It's the customer's fault. You can, and if you want to change the color, I'm sure that that will be an additional cost if you change the color or not. But you're not getting your money back from him. That's clear. So if your husband says he's a very nice guy, he still thinks he's a nice guy, and I actually agree with that. Although, very bad judgment to deal with somebody who's an operations manager, husband, when you know he's married to somebody who may or may not be happy with white.
I interview my clients much better now.
Good. Your case is dismissed. Either talk nice to him or you're going to have to eat the $5,000. We're finished. Thank you very much. Case dismissed.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
We've been ghosted for 18 months or more than 18 months by the defendant.
I couldn't really get a straight answer of where the finish line was.
I very much would like to just get my money back and go to someone that I can trust.
I'd like to move on. Whatever needs to be done will be done.
I'd like the bar built.
I'm glad the case is resolved.
He invited recording some music.
An off-key moment set the tone.
You know, he's talking trash, saying this and that. He was at his door with knives telling me to get out of his house. I picked my stuff up, I turned my back, and he started swinging on me.
And it ended on a bad note.
So I put my stuff back in the car and went back to his door and said, bro, please, my laptop's gone. Just give it back, bro.
Where's his computer?
This is Judge Judy. Ricky Jones Jr. is suing his former friend, Travis Grisham, for the value of a laptop computer and punitive damages for an assault.
Judge, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Grisham. Parties have been sworn in.
Mr. Jones, the defendant was a friend of yours, and in November of this year, according to your complaint, he invited you to come over to his apartment for the purposes of recording some music.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you do that as a living or a hobby?
I do it as a living, miss. I love music.
I mean, recording it. Do you do it as a living?
Recording? I mean, I'm self-made in the game, so I have all my own stuff, but I love to record myself, and if anybody would love help, I mean, I don't mind helping. Does that make sense?
So you have your own recording? No, not really. So I'll make it simpler for myself. You know, my grandchildren try to keep it as simple as possible for me when we're dealing with things that I have no clue about. You don't.
Studio is mobile, so, like, I don't have a place to...
You don't have a fixed place?
Yes, ma'am.
That you pay rent on?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have some of your own recording equipment. Did you purchase that recording equipment new?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just curious, what does equipment like that cost?
$8,000 to $10,000.
And when did you purchase it?
Around 2 months before this date has happened.
So sometime during the summer?
Yes.
Prior to that, what were you doing to record your music?
I was working very hard, saving my money, so I was able to afford the equipment that I was able to purchase.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working in a warehouse, inventory control.
Do you live with family or do you have your own place?
Miss, I'm homeless.
Do you have a car?
Yes.
What kind of car?
I have a Mustang, 2003.
So all of your musical equipment fits in the Mustang?
And if it's not in my Mustang, it's at my wife's house. And my wife lives with her mom.
How long have you and your wife not lived together?
We've been on and off, but I have problems with my own family. And with her family doesn't really like me. So I'm kind of misunderstood.
And you don't live with your family?
No, ma'am.
Do you have children?
Yes, ma'am. I take very good care of my kids, too. And I have one on the way.
Well, then you must get together sometimes.
Oh, best believe we do. And everything's in the process. Nobody really knows what I'm doing.
It is your claim that on this date in November, the defendant invited you over to his apartment for the purposes of doing some recording of music.
Yes,
Your
Your
You
Honor.
also record music, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't have your own equipment.
No, ma'am. I don't.
Do you sing or play an instrument? What do you do?
I do both. I sing and I engineer.
And the equipment that you're talking about is not a guitar or a flute. It's
No, ma'am.
the engineering.
Engineering
it's
is
the
more
equipment
like
that makes sound.
basically like quality control, like sound. Like basically, like I fix
so
the
you
sound. Yeah.
So you sing and you operate the dials.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you sing?
I
play
rap.
an instrument? What do you do?
I rap and...
So you sing. Well, that's singing.
Yeah, I do, and I'm learning. So the only thing I don't have down is the engineering part. I engineer, but I don't know how to mix and master yet. But I'm in the process of learning.
Good. I guarantee you'll learn it before I will. The mixing and mastering.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyway, tell me what happened when you got to his apartment.
I got to his place. I put my studio equipment in there, and I noticed my computer wasn't there. So I had to go meet up with my wife to pick up the computer. We picked up the computer, showed back up to the house, and right before we was going to set up the studio, he was telling me we should record in the living room, and I told him the living room has too much of an echo and that I would like to record in a room or a room that has, stable sound attitude. I don't know if he was hating on my equipment or if he was thinking I was trying to tell him what to do up in his place, which I wasn't. I just wanted the best for my studio. He started arguing with me, started getting loud with me, started saying he's a great engineer, this and that, started calling people on his phones, and I'm like, it's not about that, bro. I just want to record in the room. And then he started getting loud with me, and I told him, you know what, bro, I said, you're getting loud, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like, get your stuff out this dude's house, because if not, it's going to be his equipment. So I went ahead, and I got my equipment, I told him, I'm going to come back another time and record with you, pick my stuff up, I turned my back, and he started swinging on me. I fell to the floor with my equipment. It was a box full of stuff, and as he was swinging on me, I was trying to fight to get back up. I got back up. He ran to the kitchen and go grab knives. And in my mind, I'm just like, when he ran to the kitchen, I'm like, get your stuff out of his house. So I was pushing my box out of his house, and then I went back to get my two T5 speakers. And when I went back to go get my two T5 speakers, and as I was coming out, he had knives in his hands telling me to leave. I got my stuff out of his...
Slowly.
Okay.
Slowly, look at me. Slowly. I want you to start up again from, I went to go back inside to get my speakers. Very slowly. Right here.
I pushed my stuff out of his house, my big box.
I got you. Push the stuff out.
I went back to get my T5 speakers.
Push the stuff out of it.
To get him out, he was at his door with knives telling me to get out of his house. So, I got...
The speakers.
My speakers. I got my speakers. Yes, ma'am. And I got my box.
So you got your speakers. Shh. So you went back and got the speakers.
Yes,
right?
as he was in the kitchen.
Okay, so you went back and got the speakers, and
I went ahead and I get my equipment. I take it to my car, and I'm upset. I know everything's moving fast. So I noticed when I look at my equipment, I'm like, my backpack's missing. My laptop's missing. So I go to his house and I knock on the door and said, bro, please. I didn't come at him with no aggression. I said, please just give me back my stuff, bro, so I could leave you alone. He's talking trash, saying this and that. And so he tells me, you want your stuff? Okay, fine. And he threw my backpack out of his back window or his back door or whatever, and he threw my camera. So he told me it was around the corner, so I went to go retrieve my items, and my backpack was there, my camera was there, but my laptop was missing. So I put my stuff back in the car and went back to his door and said, bro, please, my laptop's gone. Just give it back, bro. I'll give you whatever you want. And, he started talking more trash to me, and then he went ahead and said, I'm going to call the cops, bro, because you're trespassing. So when he told me he's going to call the cops on me, I'm like, you going to call the cops on me, bro, and you got my stuff? So I went ahead and I went back to my car and I called the police on him. And the police had came, and they didn't really do much, but they wrote down the report, and I told the police I'm going to go ahead and sue him because he got my equipment. He's not giving it back. And then he told the police that his name was Kevin Mitchell.
Just a second. Do you have a police report, or did they? Can I see a copy of the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's his computer?
I don't have it. He has his own computer, ma'am. He has all his equipment.
How much did you pay for the computer? Have the receipt?
Yes, ma'am. I paid about $2,089.
No, I don't want to see an about. I want the receipt for the computer. Did you seek medical treatment that night for anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you seek medical treatment at any other time?
No, ma'am.
Did you advise the police that the defendant had assaulted you, or just that he had your computer? Think about what I'm saying. You have the police report. Did you tell the police that you had been assaulted, or did you just tell them that he had your computer and refuses to return it?
Miss...
Just give me an answer. Look at the police report.
He's my childhood friend. I didn't put on the police report that he put his hands on me.
So I just asked you a question. You called the police, they arrived, you told the police about the computer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There is nothing in the police report about an allegation of assault. If you were afraid of him, coming back twice and knocking at his door would have been a little bit crazy if he was acting like a Looney Tune that night. Now, did you throw out his backpack?
Allegedly, they said...
Not allegedly. I don't want to hear allegedly. I want to know.
I didn't throw it. I didn't throw his backpack out. I sat it outside.
What did you do?
I sat his backpack outside with the rest of the equipment.
How did you explain to me how you sat it outside?
I went through my back door, and I sat his backpack and his camera right there. The only two bags that was in my house left, and then I closed my sliding door, and he kept banging on my door. And I told him, your stuff is on the side. He went and grabbed it. He went back to his car. And then he just started raging, talking about...
And he called, just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
He went back to his car.
Yes.
He called the police.
Yeah, he sat in his car and he called the police.
Yes, that's exactly what he did. And he said his problem wasn't that you had a physical altercation or that you had his speakers.
Or anything else.
Or that you had... Except his computer.
That's what they say.
Searching for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,089.97. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
This case is completed. Parties are excused.
It's a whole lot, but, it is what it is,
He had a knife, and it's cool because, God knows the truth.
Oh, I never pulled no knife.
He only lying to himself.
No punches that I know of.
Yeah, he was jealous of me, and it's fine because, honestly, I'm going to keep getting money and I'm going to keep getting more.
I'm just going up. That's it.
I'm going to keep going.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Harris versus Penn. Step forward.
Devin Harris is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old Jasmine Penn, for the cost to rent a car and a loan for gas money and food.
Mr. Harris, Miss Penn was your girlfriend?
Yes.
And you lived together for a period of time?
Yes.
And you moved into her apartment?
Yes.
When did you move into her apartment?
I can't remember the exact date that I actually moved in.
Month. Let's start with easier. Let's start with year.
Oh, 2013.
Was it hot or cold?
It was San Bernardino, so it was very hot. So trying to remember the date we actually moved in.
March.
See, I knew she would know.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you pay for rent?
I didn't pay any rent.
Why?
We didn't discuss payment for rent. I was supposed to help pay with the bills. Yeah.
Did you pay those?
No.
Devin Harris says ex-girlfriend Jasmine Penn owes for a rental car and a loan. Jasmine is countersuing for unpaid rent.
And when had you moved into the apartment?
I moved in February the 28th, 2013.
And you took the lease in your own name?
I did.
And then you met him and things moved quickly and you decided to move in with her?
Yes.
And it is your claim that you loaned her some money and also rented a car on your credit that she was supposed to pay for.
Yes.
She didn't.
Yes.
And in addition, she had a little fender bender in the car, all of which you became responsible for. And something about $1,600 that came out of your checking account. What was that for?
It was actually $1,500. That was for the car rental itself.
Okay. And she has cross-complaint for unpaid rent and the fees that she had to incur for breaking her lease. Now, you broke the lease?
Yes,
because
Your
she
Honor.
couldn't afford to pay the rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
You should have thought of that before you signed the lease.
Well, he agreed to pay.
No, he didn't agree to pay for anything when you signed the lease. You signed the lease by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
He didn't move in for at least another month after that.
2.5 weeks.
So I assume that when you took that apartment, you had intended to get a roommate.
I tried to get a roommate towards
I
the
assume
end.
that that was your intention, to get a roommate, because you didn't have him when you rented the apartment. So it's not his fault that you broke the lease. It's your own fault you broke the lease. How many months did you live together?
2.5, 3 months.
Did you pay rent when you were there?
I didn't pay specifically to the rent. I pretty much paid household things. At the time, I had just recently bought a car, and we only had one car. We worked about an hour from our job, so my car and gas was paying for us to get back and forth to work. And I was paying for, food and things like that.
What other things like that?
Just everyday things you need to pay for stuff, just, groceries.
Why didn't you pay for rent?
I didn't pay any rent.
Why?
We didn't discuss payment for rent. I was supposed to help pay with the bills for, light bills, electric bills, and stuff like that. And that's the only thing I was supposed to pay for.
Well, light and electric bills.
Yeah.
Did you pay those?
No.
So she was going to pay the rent and you were going to pay the utilities.
Exactly.
And the gas to and from the car. That, that may work out. How much was the rent in total?
$800.
$800. Well, if he paid for the gas...
We were going to the same trip.
It doesn't matter. You would have to get there. So, listen, even if I were to use your logic that he had to use his car to get to work anyway, and I was just taking apartment, she was going to pay the rent anyway. Why do I have to pay her?
He agreed to.
Just a second. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You broke the lease, and then you went and lived at his parents' house. You didn't say that. How come somebody left that out of the equation?
He asked me to.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Devin Harris says ex-girlfriend Jasmine Penn owes for a rental car and a loan. Jasmine is countersuing for unpaid rent.
Now, if you were supposed to pay the transportation and the utilities, and you tell me that you didn't pay the utilities because you have no proof that you paid the utilities, you at least owe her for the utilities.
Yeah.
For the 2.5 months you were living there, how much do you think that was?
I would say about $200, but the thing is, it's not about me paying the utilities, it's that I've given her money that covers the utilities that, sit
That's all he did throughout the whole relationship.
So you owe her for the utilities. Let's say it's $200.
Okay.
For the time that you lived there, and you did use your car back and forth for a part of that time.
Yeah.
But then she rented a car because how many months did she use the rental car?
Between August to October.
Well, August to October, were you living together then?
She was actually living with me at my folks' house for that time.
Oh, you mean when the lease was broken?
She moved in with me into my folks' house, yeah.
Well, you didn't say that. How come somebody left that out of the equation? You broke the lease, and then you went and lived at his parents' house.
He asked me to. After we broke the lease, I was struggling. Me and my daughter, we had no place to go, and he's like, come, stay over here, and then
I
we'll
just would have liked the information. It's not the way you made it appear here. How much did you pay his mother for rent for you and your daughter?
She wasn't charging us anything.
That's not my question. How did you contribute for your support when you were living at his mother's house?
She just asked us to pay the utilities, and that was
Did you
it.
pay them?
Yes, for 1 month.
Strike out the $200. For what months do you claim she owes you for personal expenses that you loaned her money for?
It was a time actually after our breakup. She actually drove the car for a couple weeks after we broke up, and then for about 2 months she was kind of having issues, so I was pretty much helping her out with just gas and...
Who cares? You were helping her out. That's a nice thing for you to do.
Well, it was due, you know, things like that.
Then you should have stopped lending her money, if that's what you thought it was. Did you ever get together during that time?
No.
Okay. Now, let's talk about your car. Who should pay for your car?
He should.
Why?
Because he rented it. I was just an additional driver.
What? Speak up.
He rented it. I was just an additional driver.
Well, I understand that because you didn't have the credit to do it. That's why he rented it.
Right.
But he had his own car.
At the time, his car was in the shop.
Really? Was your car in the shop?
Yeah, my car was in the shop. I was driving another car that my family...
What other car?
I was using my grandmother's Lexus for that, at that time.
How long was your car in the shop?
A little bit over a month.
And how many months did you have the car?
About a month and a half.
How long did she have the car? You have the information.
Approximately from August 19th to October 25th.
That's more than a little over a month.
Well, I don't remember exactly.
You don't remember. I don't remember. And you know what else I'm not going to remember either one of you when I finish this case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you owe him for the rental car. You needed a car. You didn't have credit to get a car. He got...
I feel like still in turn he owed me for breaking the lease, rent, utilities, so I feel like it went both ways.
And what about you and your kid? Lived at his mother's house. You didn't pay for anything.
That was his grandma's choice. I mean,
well, it was your choice, too. It was your choice to rent an apartment that you couldn't pay for you and your daughter.
I could pay for it at the time, but when he moved in...
No. If you could pay for it at the time, then what prevented you from continuing to pay for it?
I'm having to pay the utilities, all the food.
Yeah, the utilities are the same, just like when he drives his car to work with you hanging on the door.
I was giving him gas for when we were going. We're going to the same
How much was the car
every day?
How much is the car?
How much was the rental car?
$15.10.70.
$15.10.70. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You decided to put new flooring throughout the house.
But she was floored when they didn't return.
Who asked for the balance of the money?
Who?
What are you asking me for?
Judge Judy.
It's just my fault. I should have had something more in writing, and I should have just prepared myself a little bit more.
The money that I spent, that's out of my account.
And you're moving in too fast into relationships.
We did. I mean, sometimes that happens. You know, we moved in too fast, and then...
I should have never entered into a relationship where I pretty much didn't even know the guy.
Other things occurred, you know, working and just drifting apart, and that caused arguments, and here we are today.
He did a lot of this, just like the judge said. He does a lot of this and not enough action.
What they say about the woman scorn or something like that, you know,
So, at the end of the day, it's my bad.
Lesson learned.
A roommate moves out.
All of the bills were in my name. She owes me for all of them.
But she can't move on.
She had an altercation with the other roommate.
You're getting a dog that she complained about.
Yes, that's what happened.
She parked her car in such a way that you could not get your car out. And you also think she's responsible for that.
Absolutely not.
Let's get real.
This is Judge Judy. Caitlin Zimbardi is suing her former roommate, 24-year-old Brittany Hill, for rent, utility bills, and damage to her car. Brittany is countersuing for harassment and emotional distress.
Judge, this is case number 140. Parties have been sworn in. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bert. Ms. Zimbardi, the defendant was a roommate of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your claim she's no longer a roommate of yours, that she owes you for rent. The rent you are alleging she owes you was someone else's rent. You understand that it is your claim that the defendant had an argument with one of your other roommates. Because of the argument, which you believe she initiated, the other roommate moved out, and you believe because she was responsible for that argument, she should pay that roommate's share of the rent.
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
Am I getting that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your first claim.
Correct.
Your second claim is that at some point while she was your roommate, she parked her car in such a way that you could not get your car out.
Yes, that's true.
Your parking spot. I'm just trying to get this all down right. You knocked at her door to tell her to move her car. She did not respond. So you went back to your car and tried to maneuver around her car and broke your mirror.
Yes, that's
in
what
the
happened.
Process.
Correct.
And you also...
Yes, because if she
so
wouldn't
those
have...
are the two things.
Yes.
Yes.
If she would not have been parked behind me, I could have gotten out easily.
And your counterclaim is that she made your life miserable as a roommate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Something about you getting a dog that she complained about, and I don't care. Neither does the law.
Right.
Okay, whether she reported you for having a dog and that would upset you, and nobody cares about that. So your counterclaim is dismissed. I'm going to dismiss your claim as well, but I may let you tell
There's
me
additional
why you
claims.
why you think she's responsible for your other roommate's rent, okay?
Yes. It was considered a
5
house...
minutes of my time.
Okay, the rent was considered a house rent. We had all moved in together September 1st of 2019. None of us had known each other. And in that 2 weeks, she had an altercation with the other roommate. She had texted her she doesn't want her to move in, even though we tried to have a conversation about making things smooth so we can continue living together. I have text messages showing that she told her, I don't want you to move in, and I don't like you. You have a bad attitude. And from another roommate, which the same thing happened, that she was speaking, she was rude to her, and she also didn't want to move in. And so then when the rent was due, I was the one who had to cover the $1,100. She said that because it was her fault that she would pay me back for it.
Well, I'd like to see somewhere, because do you acknowledge, Ms. Hill, that you agreed to pay her back for roommates that didn't move in?
Absolutely not. I'm not a subletter.
Okay,
I'm on the lease.
just listen to what I'm saying. Just answer my question.
Sure.
Do you have anything in writing from her where she acknowledges that she will pay the rent for other people because they didn't move in because she said she didn't like them?
No, I don't have that in writing. I do have the in writing of her telling the roommate not to move in.
I don't need that.
Okay.
That's not an issue. She still wouldn't be responsible for their rent.
Well, it is a household rent, and our landlord has claimed time and time again that we're all responsible for the full amount.
Well, you are, but she doesn't owe you for anything. She owes the landlord. So now let me understand this. I just want to understand. The other roommates didn't move in. She doesn't live there anymore. Is that right? She doesn't live there anymore.
She just moved out this
month. Or does she?
No.
Up until the time she moved out, was she paying her rent?
No, she stopped paying rent in March of
paying?
2020. That's not part of the claim. I'm utility bills.
All right. Well, then let's get real, because
Okay.
she doesn't owe you for somebody else's rent, and she doesn't owe you because you couldn't back out your car.
If that was even
That's
true.
on you. You got to take responsibility. Just a second. I don't need your help. I've been doing this job a long time. If you, because of your misjudgment, have an accident, that's on you. That's not on her because she didn't move her car.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, what you're suing her for, if what you're telling me is utilities, up until last month. Last month was, she moved out in November? November what?
I
you
moved
move
out
when?
December
November
5th.
what? Okay. And what utility bills are you referencing specifically?
I have 2 LADWP bills, 1 SoCal gas bill, and 1 Spectrum bill. All of the bills were in my name. So she owes me for all of them.
Okay. And during the prior time that you were living there, I assume that There were 4 roommates altogether?
At times 4, at times 3 because of COVID. One had moved out.
So she owes 25% of the utility bills. What are the total of the utility bills that were outstanding through December 5th that she didn't pay?
She owes $531.61.
No. I want to know bills through when she moved out December 5th. Not what you say her share is. My question was specific.
Well, I moved out in October, so that's when the bills are from.
You moved out in October?
Yes.
Leaving her there, and she didn't pay rent until March. Okay, so now let me see the utility bills. You acknowledge, Ms. Hill, that they were all in Ms. Zimbardi's name.
Yes.
And you are responsible for 25% of whatever is due and owing on those utility bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now let's see the final invoice of the utility bills. Give me the amount so that I don't have to look at it. The total amount due and owing on your last bill. First, the date of the first bill.
Well, the first bill was from September, and that's the total amount.
Well, did she pay that in September? You were all living
No.
there in September.
She didn't pay that.
When was the last time you paid a utility bill?
The last time I paid was in August.
Hill.
In September, I told her that I had to get my car fixed. My unemployment was backed up.
Okay, so she owes 25% of $1,030.
Well, I have 3 more bills.
Just a second.
Okay.
So far.
And at the time, there was only 3 of us living there. So we each paid a third.
I don't care.
Okay.
Okay. What's next?
The other Ellie received, because it's a quarterly bill.
Okay, hold on. What's next?
This is our SoCal gas bill from that month.
What's next?
Spectrum bill, our internet, $65.
Next?
That was the last one.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $365. Your counterclaim has already been dismissed. This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. The parties are excused.
I think I was just living with a crazy person for the past year.
She has no goals in life, so maybe that's why there's so many problems between us.
She got an untrained puppy that she wanted to clean up after.
He's completely fine and just needed some training like any other puppy does.
I'm definitely going to do better vetting job.
I'm glad to put this behind me.
All parties in the matter of Savage versus Bergeron. Step to the podium, please.
Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Mr. and Mrs. Savage, this is what I understand. Both you and your husband, as well as the defendant, are collectors of exotic birds. Had that as a hobby for many years. For some reason, you decided that you were no longer going to pursue the hobby, and you had acquired and a large outdoor aviary in your backyard, which is just a huge bird cage. Do you have photographs of those things, by the way?
Yes, we do.
May I see them, please? Just so I can get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Here's a picture of one of the cages that was purchased.
And you had 2. Were they similar?
The second one is larger and has, let me take this one down. And the other one looks like this, yet it's white and it's larger, but the structure and
now, you bought these cages new, I assume, for
Yes.
your large birds. Now I want to see a picture of the outdoor aviary.
This is current day aviary.
Okay. It was in November of 2019 when you met the defendant. Defendant is also a collector of large or exotic birds. According to you, he agreed to buy 2 of the large bird cages, the ones that you showed me that were inside of your house, and he agreed to buy them for $1,000. He came, he picked them up. He didn't have the $1,000. He gave you his word that he would pay you $250 a month until it was paid off. You didn't know him from a whole hear from him for a long time. Finally, he got in touch, and he sent you $100. In total, over several months, he sent you a total of $300, and then nothing else.
Judge Judy, we received
yes.
$200.
Only 2?
Yes.
$200.
That's correct.
Right. First payment was missed. He said his daughter needed braces. He missed another payment. He said claimed his wife Ann had a stroke. December, he sent you a payment, and he sent another $100 the end of January. And then he just stopped paying for them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you picked up the cages,
it was supposed to be
how much was your agreement?
$200.
And when were the payments supposed to start? Is not an answer.
Closed captioning is provided by Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Okay. Now, the defendant says that he agreed to take the 2 cages and the outdoor aviary. And then a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons, and then COVID hit, and he said, just forget it. We don't want that big outdoor aviary, which looks like cages. Do you recall how many years ago you bought them?
Approximately in 2001 on one of the cages. Later on, we replaced it with another cage in about 2010 or 11. But these were all indoor.
I want to know what you paid for the 2 cages that the defendant took.
One of them we paid $900 for. That was the beige large one. The dome cage we paid approximately $698. Now, there was a third piece that they had taken, which was a wrought iron indoor perch.
It was a standing perch for
Fine.
feeding.
And how much did you pay for that?
That perch was $298.
Okay. And all of these things were purchased over a 20-year period. Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct.
Okay. So in total, over a 20-year period, you paid approximately, if I believe it, because you don't have receipts for that, approximately $1,900.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, what your statement is, sir, is that they agreed to sell you what for how much?
Okay, it was...
I just want to hear.
Okay, it was the 2 cages, the outdoor aviary, the perch, and then there was miscellaneous bowls and like...
For how much?
$1,000.
Look at me.
$1,000.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid nothing?
We agreed to do payments.
Well, you agreed to do payments, sir, because you came to pick up the stuff with no money.
Well, our agreement was...
You came... No. Was your initial agreement that you were going to make payments? Or did you come to pick up the cages with just no money and say, I'll make payments?
No, our agreement was to make payments.
Okay. You picked up the cages, the 2 cages and the perch, in what month?
It was November.
November of 2019.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you supposed to pay each month?
At first it was $200, and then with everything that was going on with my
No, not everything. Just a second. When you picked up the cages, it
was supposed to be...
How much was your agreement?
$200.
And when were the payments supposed to start? Is not an answer. In December.
I believe following month.
That's December.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay the $200 in December?
We didn't. She said $100 would be sufficient.
No, just a second. You didn't. Did you call her and tell her that you couldn't make the $200 payment? Did you call her?
Yes, I did.
And tell her that you couldn't make... You did.
Contacted him via text.
Okay, so you contacted him.
Correct.
On what date did you contact him?
The contract was signed November 17th, 2019. And then...
Do you have a copy of the contract?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
And I take that back. Trent did call on November 21st, and he claimed he was unable to make the first payment due to his daughter needed braces and he had too many bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Before you try to sell it to anybody, clean it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Now, he's just a scammer. He just scammed you, is really all. He owes you $800. He paid you $200. He agreed to pay you $1,000 for all of them. That's what he owes you. You're not supposed to do that to nice people, sir. You're not supposed to take the property that you don't intend to pay for. We're done. $800, judgment for the plaintiff.
Right. This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Money's hard to come up. Back to cages.
They had a passion for birds, such as we did, and we would work with him as best we could.
It's over.
I am sorry for them, but it has to do with integrity.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter are Roberts versus Bamberry. Step forward.
Jessica Roberts is suing her ex-fiancé, Tim Bamberry, for the return of the engagement ring. Jessica claims she was the one who paid for it.
Mr. Roberts, you and the defendant were engaged. The engagement didn't work out. Some convoluted story that the ring that was purchased, which I assume is in that box, which was your engagement ring, was purchased and your credit card was used. When you broke up, the ring went with Mr. Bamberry, and you want him to pay for it.
Somewhat.
Well, you don't want to be stuck with the payments without the ring, right?
Exactly.
How much was the ring?
Total, I think it was $3,500.
Not around. How much was the ring?
It was 35 something. I don't have, it doesn't show me the total amount here. It just shows me the last balance. It's $958.81. That's what's left. He paid most of it.
He paid most of it?
Yes.
So then let's talk about this. Let's talk about what an engagement ring is. Let's say he of what it is.
Right.
You now have it back, right?
Yes.
And that's what I would do if you bought the ring and she kept it. Let's say you put the ring on your credit card, sir, and you broke up and she refused to give you back the ring. You would sue her and say, I want the ring back, right?
Yes.
Because I bought it and I paid for it. You have the ring.
Yes.
She doesn't want to get stuck with this $958. Do you want the ring back?
Yes.
Then you have to give her back the $958. That's very simple.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, sir, when engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage, the marriage doesn't come off for one reason or another. Person who gave the ring gets it back. That would be you, but you got to pay for it. Then the ring is yours. You can sell it, recoup whatever you can get from selling it to a private party. Can I see the ring? Just because I'm a little bit of a yenta.
It was designed for me. It was the salespeople that talked me into getting the credit card.
It's very pretty. Buddy, clean it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Needs a good cleaning. Okay, anything else you want to tell me? Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $958. That's all. Give him back his ring, Bird. It's his.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You took the sneakers and then claimed they were fakes.
We did a UV light test, which is an indicator of them not being authentic.
Sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're a bug.
Judge Judy.
I just wanted the ring paid off. I wanted no more ties to each other.
Well, I was hoping that, I could at least try to recoup some of my losses.
We just couldn't communicate with each other to come to a resolution.
Probably because we still were kind of, getting along at one time, and we just tried to do it, and we just got back in each other's face.